So later on this afternoon, we'll have an idea what's going to happen on Monday. Did want to mention it's been 1 year since we took over the ambulance service, and the numbers are out. I think it's quite impressive the volume that they've done over there. The progression with the remodel is going well. They've got the interior walls being worked on now. The roof's on it, windows are in, the doors aren't quite all there yet, but that's supposed to be scheduled, I think, spring or fall or something next year.
Well, we're crushing private business quite well, aren't we?
What, fire department?
The fire department?
Yeah.
No, I was thinking of the hospital, actually.
Oh, no. The hospital's doing fine. They got Nevin out there in complete control of that.
Nevin Conrad?
Yeah, Nevin.
Not Lydia.
No, Lydia I don't think is with the hospital.
No, well, she's not involved in anything.
She probably whispers in Nevin's ear and guides him.
She
But,
whispers in Nevin's ear? Really? All right.
Yeah.
Bet Nevin likes that.
So anyway, Terry Evans is in charge of the emergency medical people over there at the fire department, and again, the numbers are out there, and I'm sure that he would be glad to come on and give you all those numbers and inform you and enlighten you on everything that they do. So I know they've done a good job.
We're going to have a question from the audience here. AM 1400 KVFD. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Councilman Menke.
How you guys doing today?
Oh, no. What's up today?
Well, I just got a question, and it's, I don't know, maybe somewhat rhetorical, but since they're doing that addition on the firehouse there, I'm kind of curious as to why they haven't switched all those doors around so the trucks come out off of 15th Street instead of, is that not a problem for them to get out when there's a lot of traffic? It sure seems like it would be to me.
Well, thank you for your question.
They haven't expressed any concern over that. I mean, it's been that way since the early 60s when the station was built. Actually, with the remodel on 15th Street and First South and Central Avenue, it's going to be redone a little bit, and that will be a 3-lane road, which will make it a little easier for them to get out as part of the construction. But they are also taking away part of the apron out in front of the fire station too, which is going to be interesting because they put the trucks out there for some of their work and whatever when they're working inside. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, but they are changing the traffic pattern in front of the fire station as a result of the road work. So I don't think they've had any problems getting out. Most people know when the sirens and lights go on, they get out of the way, hopefully. So thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Yeah, the LED conversion is complete on Central Avenue from 3rd to 15th and also on North 9th Street. They're going to sit down, Steve Matkey's sitting down with the Public Works people to analyze the costs associated with that. Steve did all that work himself. The question is it affordable for him to continue to do that throughout the community, or should we put it out on contract? And I think you'll probably see more and more city-owned lights being converted to LED. Very cost efficient to do that. With the new bulbs that they have out there now, I don't think it requires a lot of rewiring. I don't think it requires any change in ballasts or anything. So it's a better light and less expensive, and it's brighter, as you can tell when you're driving down Central Avenue at night. So that's just started the downtown. We're hoping eventually to do more work downtown. I know Central Avenue is getting a little beat up again. It does not require any infrastructure, but we're looking at probably doing some repaving down there. I don't know about those little bump outs or what they call them down there, knockouts down there. I think that's just a pain in the neck. I think they're intended to make it so pedestrians can get across the road quicker, less likely to get run over. But I'm not sure that's really an issue in downtown Fort Dodge at this point. So I'm thinking we'll probably evaluate if we're going to continue to use those or not. They took away a parking spot, 2 parking spots in each block, and plus it's a little bit of a challenge for snow removal trucks. I think they hit them on occasion. So let's see what else we got going on. Geo bonds, we probably won't have one since we just did one. It'll probably be 2 years. I'm kind of advocating with all the alley complaints that we've had here recently. I would like to see some money designated for alleys in all of our geo bonds, and I would also like to have additional money put in there for roads every time. We did have a little money in there for roads this time. The previous one in 2018, we had $1 million put in there, and that's partially what paid for the Williams Drive renovations up there that they're working on and just finished some of them. But I think that should be a top priority, is to divert some of that geo bond money into alleyways and roads. So we'll be talking about that with our strategic planning and capital improvement plans that will be coming up this fall. So I think that's probably our biggest complaints in the community is the condition of the roads. We've been spending a lot of time and money on roads. Basically, the money comes from the lost revenue tax, sales tax, that 1% tax, 1 cent tax. That's on everything you buy locally. Road use tax is also designated for roads, but they use that primarily for street repair and snow removal and forestry and some engineering stuff. But the lost revenue has dipped a little bit, and I think part of the dipping is due to the fact that our retail sales have dropped a little bit in the community. It still generates, I think, over $3 million a year, but it's tough to repair and fix roads. You don't have a whole lot of money. But
You got plenty of money.
No. Actually, I ended up with 56 cents this morning after I went to the store because I didn't have enough money. But anyway, we encourage people to shop local, especially now that people are shopping for back-to-school items. We know that your selections are limited, but we encourage you to buy your clothes and supplies locally so that it will help with our future lost revenue.
Of course.
Of course. So when you're out there buying stuff for your grandkids, which I'm sure you buy thousands of dollars worth.
Which, no, as a matter of fact, they don't. They have more clothes than they know what to do with now. Good afternoon. You're on the air at AM 1400 KVFD with Dr. Terry Minke. Hello.
I don't want to be on the air.
Why not?
Do you have a question for Dr. Minke? You could just lower your voice. We'll think you're a dude.
No. Oh, no, thank you.
What was your question, dear? You've intimidated another one of our guests.
It's just like you and the bar at night.
No, yeah.
And
That's exactly what happened.
Yep,
They just, it's been a long time since I was a barfly, by the way.
I did want to remind people the last market on Central is tomorrow night downtown.
It sure is.
And the clock tower over at and roof improvements at the courthouse. They invite you in to take a look at the videos. I did that last time they did it. Some interesting propositions. Basically, they have different price tags and different options available. They will bond for it, which means that it will increase your property tax. So they're relying on the citizens to give them some guidance. It basically ranges, I think, from 4 million to 8 million, something like that, which is going to raise your property taxes. I think they said, Nick Carlson told me something like $85 a year on a $250,000 house, which means my little shack probably won't be that much. But you look at some of the pictures, I mean, the thing is definitely falling apart. It needs a lot of tender loving care. And the other thing is tonight they've got the community block party over at the Community Health Center, right across the street from this fine radio station. Can't afford an air conditioner. It's about 85 in here. That's a shout out to your new boss.
There's a shout out to my new.
Down there with his tie.
Did I take you down there to meet him? I did, didn't I?
Yeah. So anyway, they're going to do well child screenings, some dental clinics. They're going to have meal. Pork producers will be there 5 to 8. If you're into sports physicals and basically just take care of the community. So when people say there's nothing to do in Fort Dodge, they're wrong. We got block party tonight, market on Central tomorrow night.
Tomorrow, yeah, it's all rocking.
Yep, all going. Oh, there she calls again.
Well, maybe she will. Maybe she. This is AM 1400 KVFD. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah, I was wondering if the city ever looked at maybe helping when they put these gas lines and stuff in the streets and maybe redoing the streets at that time, maybe save a little money if they partner up with that stuff?
There's a lot of work that's being done in conjunction with the utility companies. I mean, some of that work is planned out years in advance. And I know this last one on 22nd Street, the gas line they're putting in there, they stayed off in the right of way, so it didn't really affect the street that much. But a majority of the time, when there's any kind of a major project, any kind of reconstruction, they sit down and they talk to them. I mean, it's not only the utilities, the gas, and the water, and telephone, and all the sewer lines. They typically are all at the table at some point to coordinate that. So I think that's already been done.
Okay, well, on South 23rd Street, they gas line went right up the street.
Yeah.
And they've turned around and they've got that all tore up where they haven't worked from from their back tractors and all that stuff. I didn't know if the city's got
fix that, or do they fix that, or?
They'll come back and fix that. That's part of their agreement. They have to come, they tear it up, they have to fix it. So they'll be coming back as the work progresses. I think I saw them pouring cement on 22nd and 5th South the other day, so they are going back and doing some of the finish work.
Yeah, I know they're fixing up the part they tore up, but the other part, the overlay they had on 23rd, with them bobcats and stuff spinning on that, they tore that up too, in spots. I've talked to them, and they don't seem like that's not their problem.
Yeah, I'll ask about it. I know when that fire on Central Avenue right off of 15th Street, the excavator that did the demo work there tore up the street. And we went back after them through their insurance, and everybody was pointing fingers at everybody else, and I think the city ended up having to pay for that. So sometimes it's what they call incidental damage that they may feel like they're not responsible for, but if it's a big problem, I'm sure we can go back and have them look at it. I'll bring that up when I talk to the engineer. Thank you for
Okay.
calling.
All right, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. Yeah, we just have a couple of minutes left. So if you have a question or comment for Councilman Menke, 515-955-1400. He told me off mic, by the way, that he knows much more than Lydia Schuer, because Lydia referred to him as a wrinkled old fool this morning. And despite the fact that it was absolutely accurate, Menke's ticket.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard from her, so
Well, you may never hear from her again.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things happening. I mean, State Fair this weekend. I'm going to go down there Saturday. You're going to be there Friday. And
I am going to be there Friday.
I think
Broadcasting live.
I think Roger's recovering well from his knee surgery, so he should be back next week. We do have a meeting Monday night, so look for the agenda today, and there might be some excitement on there, but again, I don't know yet because I haven't seen it. And we're looking forward to an exciting summer. We've got a lot more work that's going to be done yet this year. Some of the jobs are wrapping up, but again, 15th Street is going out for bid, and we'll probably see and approve that contract until September. But I know 16th Street's going to be torn up for a sewer line. I think starting in September, and I think the road work on that intersection will be done probably by Thanksgiving, we're hoping. So if the weather cooperates.
You know, Sports Illustrated still has their swimsuit models issue every year. They never had an age restriction. They just put out a general call. Anybody who would like to apply or to approach us about being in the swimsuit issue, please come. So a 58-year-old woman showed up. And I want to tell you, she is smoking. They should have put her in. She didn't make the final cut. She made the top 60, and they should have just put her in for her age because she is stunning. I mean, wow.
What are you doing looking at Sports Illustrated?
It's either that or listening to you, pal. and I would just like here, ladies and gentlemen, this is on my Facebook page, but I'm going to show Menke here. There it is. There she is, Terry. 58 years old. She's a young thing as far as you're concerned. I know.
All I can see is just her legs and her top.
Well, that's enough. There we go. There we go. There's the whole thing.
I judge people on their personality.
Of course, and their character and their faith and their deep religious
That's
convictions,
right.
and their commitment to diversity and tolerance. That's terribly boring. All right, Terry, thank you for being here.
No problem.
It's 3:00 in the afternoon. Greg Hoare will make his triumphant return here in the next hour. You're listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Thank you very much. I think the guy that called was our F-bomber.
Was it?
I think it was.
Well, he didn't drop it again.
No, he didn't, but I was waiting. I was going to move pretty fast. I even thought he was going to be. Actually, he's been calling for years. I think he's turned off the phone again.
Leave it up on your SoundCloud.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, it's about at the 3:50 mark. It was at 3:50 in the afternoon.
Today, after visiting Dayton, Ohio, meeting with
Perfect.
survivors and first responders.
Well, I love controversy.
Wasn't much controversy. He dropped the F-bomb.
All right. Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
I should mention it.
Roundtable search for solutions on gun violence and racism. There have been protests for
Is it
and
Pisces
against
3?
the president today.
Looking at you, those people, they got shot. It was terrible that happened. But, you can't blame the president for that. You really can't.
But The early frontrunner for the Democratic presidential nomination accuses President Trump of fanning the flames of white supremacy.
We have a president with a toxic tongue, was publicly and unapologetically embraced the political strategy of hate, racism, and division.
Former Vice President Joe Biden at the start of a trip to Iowa, where many candidates are campaigning right now. The 10-day state fair begins tomorrow. The president tweeting during Biden's speech, calling it so boring, and suggesting that he'll be happy if Biden wins. The manhunt for 2 murder suspects on the run for weeks now in Canada is over. Their bodies were found. Fox's Renal Scott has this live.
Police said Canadian investigators said pieces of evidence found late last week belonging to a murdered American woman and her Australian companion led to a discovery today. Royal Canadian Mounted Police Assistant Commissioner Jane McClatchy says 2 male bodies were discovered close to where that evidence was found.
We believe these are the bodies of the 2 suspects wanted in connection with the homicides in British Columbia.
Autopsies are scheduled to confirm the identities believed to be teenagers Cam McLeod and Brian Schmigelski. They are also believed responsible for killing a Canadian professor, Lisa.
Thanks, Colonel. This is Fox News.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving, built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via download.
It's being called the largest U.S. immigration raids in about a decade. Nearly 700 arrests, mostly Latino workers, reported today at food processing plants in Mississippi. The raids were planned months ago, but they happened only hours before the president was scheduled to visit El Paso, Texas, in the wake of last weekend's mass shooting there. Workers who were confirmed to have legal status were allowed to leave the plant after having their cars searched. Fewer travelers from other countries are coming to the U.S. This in the latest monthly report from the U.S. Travel Association.
They say the 0.8% decline is at least in part because of trade tensions with China. The Chinese government put out a travel advisory at the beginning of June. It warned that Chinese visitors have been subjected to what it called harassment by law enforcement in the U.S. Another government advisory painted the U.S. as an unsafe place, citing high numbers of shootings, robberies, and thefts here. Add to that, the U.S. dollar is stronger than other countries, so visitors' money won't go as far here. The number of international travelers could keep going down for the rest of the year, the report says.
Fox's Grady Trimble. The Trump administration not giving up on convincing North Korea to denuclearize.
We are hopeful that in the coming weeks we'll get back to the negotiating table to achieve that.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo speaking a day after returning from his latest trip to Asia, again downplaying a recent string of short-range missile tests by Pyongyang, noting there's been no resumption of long-range tests or nuclear testing. A mixed finish on Wall Street. The Dow down 23 points at the closing bell, but that was a rebound after an early sell-off today. And the S&P and the NASDAQ actually finished higher. The Dow finishing back over 26K. Great.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge will celebrate National Health Center Week with a free community block party tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. The event will take place in front of their building located at 126 North 10th Street in downtown Fort Dodge. The celebration includes free child wellness checks, free sports physicals, a free meal, as well as activities and information for families. The event is part of a national campaign to increase awareness of the ways health centers are providing affordable health care in communities. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge opened in 2006, and in 2016 it expanded to increase exam rooms, dental labs, and added behavioral health services. The Webster County pork producers will be on hand providing the food for the event. The child wellness exams will take place from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. tonight, and the block party is 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Here's the Community Health Center of Fort Dodge Outreach Coordinator Regina Subier talking about the event.
It is open to the public. You do not have to be a patient of the health center to come this afternoon, either to have a meal or to take advantage of any of the services that we're offering. It really is open to the entire community.
Senator Randy Feenstra was a guest on Divine's Intervention with Mike Divine. Feenstra spoke about his bid for the 4th District congressional seat currently held by Congressman Steve King. Here's Senator Feenstra's comments on the importance of the 4th District congressional seat.
This is what I've always told people. You think of the 4th District, we're number 1 in the world in agriculture. We absolutely need a voice for these issues, and whether it be the next farm bill or whatever it is, we need somebody that can be very active and support what's going on in the 4th District, and that's my whole goal.
2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration fee. That does include a meal. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs around 85. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. 60 tonight, partly cloudy. A blend of clouds and sun again.
Hello, it's Mike.
Yeah, Mike, this is Ann Chase. How did I get on the air?
Well, you called the old KVFD number, and that's the on-air number now.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Well, that's the number that Dwayne Murley gave me. And but anyway, I've been trying to get a hold of you on your cell phone. Obviously, I cannot read your handwriting because I got somebody in Ward, South Dakota.
Well, it's definitely not me.
Yeah, so apparently you're 515 and then what?
320.
Okay.
0646.
Oh, that's right. To me, it looked like 0446. Okay. That's how I ended up in Ward, South Dakota, and I think he thought I was somebody looking for some other type of business.
Probably so.
Because I said, how about meeting on Thursday afternoon or Saturday?
Now, you didn't give Murley all the good stuff, did you?
Oh, no, this is that guy in Ward, South Dakota that I was.
No. I said you didn't give Murley all your good stuff, did you?
Oh, heavens, no. He said to go through you. No. He said go through Michael.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't know what your availability is. If anytime Thursday afternoon, evening, Saturday.
I'll be around this weekend.
Okay. Are you thinking that Saturday would be a good time, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and about what time would work with you?
Why don't you give me a call, and I'm on the air right now.
Oh, okay, alrighty. Okay, I'll text you.
Okay.
With the right number. Okay.
Thanks a lot. What have you been doing? Getting some exercise or something? You're driving me nuts, sir.
Oh, yeah. Sitting across the street.
Oh, I see. Hi, it's Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Hello. Who is it? Okay, come on. Hello?
Hi, Mike. This is Lauren with JD's team.
Lauren with who?
JD Schulten's team.
Oh, with JD Schulten's team. Yes, what can I do for you?
Yeah. Hey, you are scheduled to talk to JD now.
Oh, I am scheduled to talk to JD now. Well, put him on here and we'll talk with him for a few minutes. I got Greg
All right.
Hora. I got Greg Hora, the pork producer.
Let him talk. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Is he there or what's going on?
Hey.
There he is. Hi. How you doing? This is who?
This is JD.
All right, JD, hang on here just a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have Greg Hora of the pork producers with me. Is that all right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, JD, hi.
How's it going?
I don't have this mic here.
Yeah, it's all right. You take the time that you need to with Mike today.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we're just about a minute away, JD.
Okay.
Hey, when you get down to this area of Fort Dodge and you want to talk to some farmers, JD, let us know.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Yeah, I know you would. Yeah, we'd like to have you out.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Actually did that the first year. The days that I sprayed, it turned out to be pretty good. But the organic farmer, I really do have to watch that in everything I spray. So, dicamba kind of adds another level. But if you work with them and talk with them, we really have never had a problem.
She says the technology is an essential tool for her farm and it's vital to improving their bottom line.
This technology really does suppress those weeds and kills them. And what I like about it is you can use it pre and post.
Yeah,
and I think that's a great tool
Just a
also
generic contract.
because it's flexible that way.
14th, is that when you want it?
Gets those weeds so you're planting into clean
That's when I'm
fields.
there.
And,
Well, I want to be there when you're there.
spraying over the
That'd be
top
great.
also.
Okay, here
I'm
we go.
Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with the Roundup Ready Extended Crop System.
Michael Devine.
All right, we really got to go on here today. We do. That's sounds like something a radio announcer would say, doesn't it? Well, we really got to go now. But we do, as a matter of fact. We finally and at last got the wandering Greg Hora here, who's the past president of the Webster County Pork Producers and past president of the Iowa Pork Producers. And on the phone with us is JD Schulten, who is seeking the Democratic nomination to be our next congressman in the Iowa 4th District. How are you, JD?
I'm doing excellent. I'm currently calling you guys from Sioux City, Sioux, our Winnebago RV.
You're doing the RV thing again? Are you wandering around the 4th District in your RV?
Absolutely. We've already hit Highway 30. Now we're on back up, going back north, up on Highway 71 on our way to Spirit Lake today.
Okay, good enough. Are you going to be in Fort Dodge anytime soon?
I don't know quite yet, but after the first launch week, we're going to regroup, and I'm sure we'll have a tour before too long.
Okay, good. That would be great. JD, I saw your commercial narrated by Kevin Costner, and I talked with Randy Feenstra yesterday, and I also talked with Laura Bellin of BleedingHeartland.com. And the feeling out there is if you run against Congressman King, you may very well win. Feenstra's main pitch is that we need to get rid of Steve King so he can run against you and beat you. Now, he cited his background in economics and in ag economics as reasons to elect him. What is your background in agriculture?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fifth-generation Iowan, and first to be raised in town. Both my parents grew up in farms, and I mean, just it's been around me my whole entire life, and it's one of the reasons why I ran. My grandma in Thanksgiving of 2016 take care of cattle.
You're kind of breaking up on us here a little bit, JD.
Stop the RV.
Stop the RV, yeah. You're kind of breaking up on us a little bit.
I don't know.
Oh, this is unfortunate. Maybe you should call us back. Why don't you hang up and call us back? Yeah, call me right back. Thank you very much. All right. Greg,
yeah.
I want you to be able to jump in here.
Oh, sure. Well, hey, it's good to see you. It's been
good to see you. Where you been, man?
5 or 6 weeks that I've
It
been
is.
here.
That's right.
And I'll probably miss the next 5 or 6 weeks. Then I'll have to use the excuse it's harvest time. But that's the way it goes. So, but I hear you've not really had too much excitement on the radio anyway. What's this FCC stuff?
That's
oh my goodness.
Did you run into Menke out there or something?
No, I just heard about it on the radio.
Oh yeah, some guy dropped the F-bomb on me yesterday.
Oh,
no,
all right, there's your call again.
But is that you, JD?
Yes, is this better?
Yes, this is better, as a matter of fact. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Anyway, we were asking about your ag background, and you were talking about your grandparents being on the farm and that sort of thing. Do you have any actual experience in the field, or have you worked with ag agencies like the pork producers or the Farm Bureau or any of those places?
No, I have not.
Okay.
It's been a lifetime of going out, seeing my families and my cousins all on the farm. So.
Okay. All right. You talked about your resume, and thank you for coming here to the studio one day. It wasn't that long ago, a couple of months, I suppose. You were here in Fort Dodge for something, but we talked about some of the aspects of your resume. Of course, you played Class A minor league ball for 8 years, I believe, and I'm a baseball fan, love baseball, so I like that. And then you talked about being a paralegal. How many firms did you work for as a paralegal?
I worked for 2 different law firms, and then I worked in-house for a little bit too, mostly in civil litigation and intellectual property. I specialized in a lot of the data and the e-discovery side of law.
Was that here in Iowa or some other place?
Well, the last couple of years I've been working as a freelance paralegal right here in Iowa.
Okay, as a freelance paralegal. Okay.
Yep.
So why should you be the Democratic nominee? I don't think there's going to be another Democratic nominee, but let's say that there is. Why should you be the Democratic nominee?
Well, I'm not hearing anything that there would be anybody else, but what we were able to do last time was just organize this district, and on the Democratic side, this has been an abandoned district for several years now, and what we were able to do was really bring people together, and as a result, we got 25,000 more votes than there are Democrats in this district, and we pulled people from all over. And we didn't write anybody off. If you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, we were out there trying to earn votes, just like my heroes, Berkeley Bedell and Tom Harkin used to do, and we plan to do that again this time.
I want to bring Greg Hoare, the pork producers, in. Sometime, Greg, I can't speak for Greg. I'll let him talk directly to you, but there is a concern with some pork producers, maybe that those in the Democratic Party are a little bit hostile to the idea of pork production. What would your attitude be towards pork production in the state of Iowa?
Well, the biggest thing that I see, and one of my cousins is a pork producer, and the biggest thing that I really see is that the amount of consolidation that we've had are really squeezing pork producers and pork farmers, and whether it's on the input side or on the output side, some of these contracts, it really, our farmers aren't making too much of a profit these days. And we need to find solutions for that and find more markets. And I mean, right now with what's happening in China with the African swine flu, we could send some of our hogs over there, but right now they're not allowing for that to happen. So I think there's opportunities that we can have, and especially, a lot of this, and just agriculture in general, I agree with Chuck Grassley on a lot of his issues. We talked about, even just last week, he sent the USDA a letter, or he was one of the co-signers to USDA to talk about restoring GIPSA and the protection for farmers from monopolies and things like that.
J.D. Shelton is our guest. He probably will be the Democratic nominee to run against the Republican nominee here in the 4th District, and Greg Hoare of the pork producers is here. Greg, would you like to address Mr. Schultz?
Yeah, JD, you bring up some good points about the vitality of agriculture in northwest Iowa, north central Iowa, where you're hoping to represent us as Iowans. But, we have a changing diversity, not only in the swine industry, but in agriculture, because of technologies, because of efficiencies, and most importantly, our export markets that we do participate in. So what's your viewpoint on labor in northwest and north central Iowa in respect to not only on the farm and how we get enough people there in the rural Iowa in the production side of it, but also the harvesting facilities and the processing facilities of all of our commodities in northwest Iowa?
Right. I mean, what we saw with Eagle Grove and that plant coming through in Sioux City, like I spent most of my life in Sioux City, and we've been an immigrant immigrant meatpacking town since the 1880s. And both the new pork plants, they,
Oh, no, son of a gun, we lost him again. That guy's got to get a better phone.
Yeah,
that was a great question. I was all set for him to ask it.
He'll give us his response, especially since he is from the Sioux City area.
Yes, he is from the Sioux.
Where we understand, as in the pork production side of it, for your listeners' sake, as we wait till JD calls back, is the second shift of the 10,000 pigs per shift that they're harvesting, which is about 1,000 employees per shift. The second shift, they're having a hard time keeping that filled. And
over at Eagle Grove right now?
That's up at Sioux City.
Sioux City.
Sioux City, where JD is making reference to. That's the Seaboard Triumph plant.
Okay.
Which actually, that's the pigs that I am now growing for. They go to Sioux City.
All right.
Because I'm growing pigs with Seaboard. But the Prestige Foods plant, and this comes from Dennis Klaus just last week. We're engaged in a meeting in a couple weeks up at Prestige Foods as pork producers. But right now, there are about 650 employees in that area, and they're hoping at the Prestige Foods plant to get to 950 by Christmas time.
Excellent.
So to your listeners out there, we hear about what's happening with the communities when it comes to housing and retail shopping and transportation and healthcare and all these other things. But the Prestige Foods plant is still looking for about 300 more employees. And what tends to happen, obviously, is we have lateral movement from one industry of processing to another industry. And obviously, what I'm talking about here, the industry that's looking for new people, and that it would be the Prestige Foods plant.
All right, I think we got JD Schulten back. JD, you got to get a. I understand you're working with that old Winnebago, but man, you got to get a first class cell phone, dude. You got to get a first class cell phone.
I don't know what's the problem. I apologize, and I'll definitely come in studio next time.
All right, good.
I apologize for that.
Greg was asking you a question essentially about labor in the Congressional 4th District as it relates to the ag business.
Yes, and so what I was wanting to say is we do have a workforce problem, and it reminded me of the elevator, grain elevator down in Greene County when I met with them in 2017. They needed 39 people to help them with the harvest, and they didn't get one American citizen to apply. And you see this all throughout the district, and it's really one of those things where we need to find common sense immigration, because our immigration system is just broke. When I was here in Storm Lake for a town hall, the woman came up to me and said, there was a woman who said, I just became an American citizen, and I'm going to have my first ballot and cast it for you and vote for you. And it was very heartwarming. But she also said that it took 17 years and $17,000 to become a U.S. citizen. And so if this is broke, and you look at the visa program, and they favor a lot of the things out on the coast with folks who need seasonal. But when you look at the pork producers or dairy farmers, when you need extra hands, some of them are year-round folks, and we need to have a visa program that matches our needs.
Well, I tell you, Greg always hates it when I say these things, but Henry Ford in Detroit in the early 20th century needed workers, so he started paying them well. He started paying them very, very well.
I hate that. I pay my workers very well.
In other words, if you want workers to come to your place, if you pay people, they'll come running. Yeah. You know, I have always said, JD, that the real beneficiaries of immigrant labor are places like IDP, and that can't be your constituency as a Democrat, could it?
Well, I mean, what we need is not only it goes beyond agriculture. You look at this district; it's the strength of this district, the originality of this district is agriculture and a small business. And you look at right now, you look at some of the benefits. I just remember going around and talking. We had a bunch of farmer forums last year or last cycle. And as much as we were talking about low commodity prices for the last half decade, as much as we've talked about market consolidation, as much as we talked about tariffs or the abuse of the renewable fuel standard that was happening, what we talked about was healthcare first and foremost, and I think it's a need on a lot of people. And so I think that's part of the whole equation too.
JD Schulten, Greg Horr, our guest at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I have to ask this question. I'm going to turn it back over to Greg here. Congressman King has been known for his opposition to illegal immigration. What is your attitude toward illegal immigration?
Well, I mean, we absolutely need all of immigration reform. We need secure borders. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But
what does a secure border look like to you?
Well, I think it's a system where people don't get caught in between a lot of different ways. You see these people who are coming here for jobs and then just getting stuck after a visa runs out or something like that. And we have no way of tracking a lot of these folks too. So I think with the modern technology that we have, I think there's ways that we can easily fix a huge part of this. I think if we need to have a common sense solution, and if people want to earn the right to become a citizen, I think we need to find a pathway to do that, and we need a pathway to residency first.
Okay. Greg, do you have a question for JD?
Well, that sounds like a platform by which we do need some, not only reforms, but actually, JD, we just need action. And I know right now with a divided Congress and those of us out here in rural Iowa and rural America, we're just getting frustrated with the do-nothing Congress, especially when it comes to not just the job payment schedule, but the other benefits that go along with it. So we need to continue to have some enforcement, not only of our existing laws, but some action on what we do have, much like the House had a couple years ago, the Goodlatte bill. And that actually was an H-2A worker reform program that would have helped out and would have been able to keep our farm workers, including truckers, for some of these agriculture and agribusiness firms, to keep them in their job and not have to leave after 9 months or 12 months of work.
And that's exactly right. You see too many of these visa programs that favor like California's agriculture system and not ours. And I completely agree. We need more year-round visas.
Well, yeah. Well, isn't that just allowing someone to stay in our country without requiring citizenship?
Well, but then I think you need to earn it. That's why there needs to be a pathway to residency and a pathway to citizenship. I think people should be able to find a way to be a resident and not feel the threat and earn. Well, they need to find a way to work here legally and be able to be comfortably stay here.
So we're not talking about a year-round bill. We're talking about a pathway to citizenship.
Well, it's both. And at the end of the day, what this in a lot of our policies out in DC, it's not valuing work and the dignity of work, and people just kind of dehumanize a lot of these things. And I think too much of our laws and policies are dictated by special interests. That at the end of the day, we need to clean that up, and that kind of goes with the stalemate that we're seeing in Congress on a lot of different issues.
Our guests is J.D. Shelton and Greg Hart, AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I've met Randy Feenstra a couple of times. He's a hard charger, and he says he can beat you.
Yeah, well, I think I can beat him too, so it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
But I'll just say that it's a very unusual situation where the challenger, myself, doesn't have a primary and probably won't have a primary, where the incumbent has multiple folks running against him, and it's a unique situation, I'll say that. But I'm going at this the same way I did when I played minor league baseball, and it didn't matter who the other team was. I was going to pitch to my strengths, and we're going to run on the same things we did last time and just work our tails off, and we're going to try to get out there and earn votes left and right. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, Democrat, or independent. We're out there talking to you, and our goal is to meet 70% of the voters who will be voting in November 2020. And so we'll get out there, we'll bring Sioux City Sioux to a town near you.
What do you see are the key issues in this campaign?
Well, healthcare, I think, is the number one, because, I mean, almost every gas station that I fill ethanol up with this in Sioux City Sioux, there's a donation box of somebody who just got sick or someone who just got in the hospital. And you know what? We just had this morning I stopped at a gas station and I saw a picnic, or no, I'm sorry, not a picnic, a pancake breakfast for somebody who they're trying to pay their medical bills off. And we're the wealthiest country in the world, and we're already paying a ridiculous amount per person. There's a far more efficient way of doing this. And so at the end of the day, it's fix healthcare, fight for an economy that works for all of us, not just the corporations and the 1%. And then the last thing is to secure our democracy. And we do that by getting all the special interests that dictate our democracy out of the DC. We clean that up, and it gets back to the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And what my campaign did last time was we did not take any corporate PAC money, and I'm proudly to say that we are not doing that again.
Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren want to give free health care and free university education to illegals. What do you think?
You know, I have a tough time agreeing with that when we struggle when I'm going through this district and seeing a lot of people in this district don't have health care. And a lot of people in rural America, there's access, accessibility is shrinking and costs are skyrocketing. I think we need to focus on our district before I'd be agreeing to something like that.
J.D. Sheldon has been our guest. I'm going to give you the final thought there, J.D. What do you got?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. And like I said, we're just going to go around all this district and just continue to paint this district with our town halls and continue to talk to anybody and everybody. And you know what? Here's the thing is I'm going to fight for everyone again. And even the guy who gave me the finger this morning in Kelly when we were driving a little too slow because Sioux City Sioux doesn't really get up the ramp up.
Oh, don't worry about that. I got F-bombed yesterday. On the air! On the air, I get F-bombed.
And Congress, I'm going to fight for you, Mike. I'm going to fight for you.
You're going to fight for me? Well, I'm getting too old to duke it out anymore, that's for sure. Anyway, J.D. Sheldon, thank you very much for being with us.
Hey, thank you so much. I apologize for the phone issues, but I would love to be there next time I'm in Quebec.
Well, anytime you need to be, you're welcome on air here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
You too. AM 1400 KVFD. We'll be back with Greg Hoare, the pork producers, in just a minute.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
He's a well-spoken guy.
Making radio great again.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge 332. Yeah, Greg Hoare, the pork producer, is coming up. We're going to talk with Greg about a lot of things in just a couple of minutes.
Iowa farmers are continually striving to
it's pretty good. One week ago.
so future generations can continue farming these acres. And it starts by working together to incorporate more sustainable practices in our fields.
That's quite an Iowa State shirt you got there.
It is a biggie, isn't it? You know where I got that? Farm Progress Show. Went over the Iowa.
At the Iowa State, I mean, I've heard you talk about that.
Yeah.
That's neat you got that.
Yeah, and I bought a couple other things down there.
Yeah.
But I bought it over at the Iowa State tent where I spent a lot of time.
Oh, yeah.
God, those kids were smart. Jeez.
Oh, there's a lot.
I felt like I was from the past.
Yeah.
If you sell fruit and vegetables commercially in Iowa, the FDA's produce safety board likely
I've heard you speak about that.
find out if you're in compliance and to learn about.
Were you down there? You were.
Oh yeah, I was down there. I missed you. You were at Stein. You were at
I was at
Soybean Association.
Soybean.
Yeah, I missed you that day. I went over there. People will come up to see you next
Maybe it's
week.
because they use
Great.
Babbel,
That'd be great.
the #1 selling language learning app
What
in
am I
Europe.
trying to do here? I guess I
Babbel's
already did.
award-winning technology gets you speaking right away, whether you're learning Spanish, French, or German. And best of all,
Well, good to
you'll
see you again.
remember what you've learned.
Yeah,
I always thought
just-
I was bad at languages.
I finally got my.
Using Babbel,
I
can
think
tell
I
you
got
how
my
to
crop
talk
spraying
to people.
done.
Using Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons, you can be
But,
speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I was amazed that I could start having real life conversations.
How many days of
right
spraying
away.
do you have?
Just so fast.
Oh,
Now I'm speaking
it's
Spanish.
just a lot of days.
Woohoo!
How much do you
No
farm?
wonder Babbel is the #1
I
selling
farm
language learning
close
app
to
in Europe.
Colorado.
Try it for yourself and see why
got
Babbel
any
is
help
the
to
quick
spray
way
or
to
not?
get conversational
To
in a
spray?
new language.
Oh, I like to run it myself.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
Nobody else runs it. My son Joe, he can run the corn planter, combine. I've got other workers that run the tillage equipment,
Yeah,
trucks.
yeah. Right.
But, matter of fact, I'm moving corn to Cargill right now. Should be the last load for the day going in right now.
You want a bottle of water?
Nope, I got my own.
Okay. Did you sign that thing over there?
Yeah, here.
Okay, let's just talk about it here.
That's your copy. Okay, great. I got a copy
So,
of mine.
the
Thank you.
14th.
Wednesday.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
Wednesday the 14th.
Okay, next Wednesday.
You all right?
I'm fine.
So that's the only day I'm at the state fair.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I could take, no, I'm fine. No, I gotta have you there for the, I could probably do all right by myself, but down there in that pork tent, there's so many people.
Yeah, yeah, but
you line up everybody from just, hell, I talked to chicken guys last year.
I know you did. Yeah.
All kinds of people.
Yeah,
And God, first year we did this, you had Chuck Long and
yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Well, I'll get some people lined up this. Well,
And killed them.
even had the
anyone
president of
have-
the University of Iowa last year. That was fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially since my daughter works there, you know?
Gosh, that's so many
was-
people.
Number KVF.
I always take pride in my interviewing skills and ability to adapt. But man, you had so many different people there. That was. I just really didn't know what they all say. They were from the University of Iowa.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he was.
Well, agriculture is doing more things with the University of Iowa when it comes to health and water quality initiatives and food quality initiatives, just because of their medical colleges there.
Yeah.
And a little bit more of a liberal bias, but if we can become engaged with them, that's an important arena.
I just got in touch with Dan McMillan, who's in the public relations department at U of I.
Okay.
And I worked with Dan in the past, especially in the fall of the year on farm safety issues. What to do and
sure
what their research indicates and those sort of things. But I kind of fell away, and I think Dan got a promotion or something.
Okay.
But just coincidentally, I bumped in. I ran across his email address. And God,
yeah,
he had so many great specialists that he sent.
Sure.
I should see if I can get him going again.
Yeah, I should look up for you that group, because it is very important, that farm safety just for kids.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And I just read or heard the other day in your stations, Eastern Iowa, 19-year-old boy was killed in a grain bin.
Oh, that's just.
He got down in the middle of it.
That was it. Yeah.
Oh,
what a way to go!
Oh, it's terrible.
Slow death and suffocate.
Well, I think he got his leg caught in a grain auger and shoot him up or whatever. He was by himself or not. I don't know. I don't follow those kind of things very well.
Tim Cranbrink has a terrible story. I think it was his brother-in-law a number of years ago. They were putting corn in the bin. They had an old-fashioned elevator and stuff. And the rest of the guys were working somewhere else, and his brother-in-law, I think it was back running the elevator, and they came back, and he was laying there dead, completely naked except for his work boots.
It stripped his clothes off.
Stripped his clothes completely off and tore his right arm off past the shoulder. Awful, awful. Can you imagine coming back and finding something like that? Oh, God.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that was
a gruesome death.
And you're around this stuff and you just don't think of it.
Well, most of us have experiences by which you become aware of things. And I know on my farm, we always talk about situations so that we ever come across them. It's like, okay, I've reviewed this before. We were just talking about that at National Night Out last night with Quentin Nelson. He's going to retire.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
God, is he old enough?
I know at
suppose he is.
36 or 37 years, he's a police officer. Quentin, he's a nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
I said, what are you going to do? I think it's a year from this September.
36.
I said, hey, I was standing there with Dave Michelson. I said, hey, guys like you, we haul corn for a farmer. I said, I'd hire you. I said, you got to come in, set your own time. And I said, here's the thing of us as farmers. But the thing we are concerned about the most is the ability of a person to go up and down the highway with a piece of equipment. Because in this society,
drive a truck,
a truck or
I got
a
a CDL,
big tractor or anything like that,
I
because of what's on the road anymore, with people texting and driving. I had a woman pass me today. She's just texting. You passed me right by the college. I'm like, what is she doing? She's going about 55. I'm going like 50. She's passing me, and she's texting away right by the college.
I'll tell you, I drove truck for a few years. I used to haul meat out of Hartley all the way down to Miami. But folks used to ask me, guys just from a small town in Iowa, how'd you get along in those big cities? Well, the big cities, the people there know to get out of the way. If I turned on my turn signal, they just backed off. Because the city drivers, like in Chicago, they'll just go, But I said the worst thing is on secondary roads in Iowa, the older people. I was coming into town. I was coming from west into town.
Yeah.
And I'm doing 60, and I'm 80,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And it was about this time of year, and this little old lady came on from a side road, and she looked at me, and the sun was behind me, and she just was blinking, looking like she couldn't see it.
Yeah.
She's gonna pull right out in front
Yeah.
of me, and it's gonna be
Yeah,
hurt for her and maybe me, you know. If I hit her like that, that
Yeah.
truck's gonna go into the ditch and
Yeah.
rolling. And, but fortunately, she just kept creeping. I'll tell you, I was never so happy to get around anybody.
So you beat her to the.
Oh, I beat
impact
her
point,
to it.
yeah.
Oh yeah. But man, I'll tell you, she had my attention. You know?
Yeah.
I can understand the old folks don't want to. Hell, I'm getting older myself, but I can understand they don't want to give up their driver's license.
I know what, Mike.
Man, they scare the hell out of me.
I saw a bad one.
You got a semi or a straight truck?
Oh, I got semis, yeah. But I don't have those big triple axle ones anymore. You know, those go up to 96,000
Yeah,
pounds,
oh,
I
yeah.
think. You got triple axle trailer, you can go, I think, to 86,000. I think at 94,000 you can go to.
Yeah, hauling the hogs.
Well, or the grain. I mean, that's mostly what's out here now. I mean, you talk about industry that continues to be vital because we just make a law change on weight, because you can add on a tag axle to a semi-tractor or add on a tag axle to a grain trailer, a livestock trailer. Then you can haul that much more. That industry is booming like no other because there's a demand for new products there.
Yeah.
You call it, there's about 25 new semis that are triple axle tractors and triple axle trailers. 25.
Well, getting the fence, maybe I'll come out and see if I can still do it for you.
Yeah, there you go. Step by step, take things slow.
I used to drive all over the damn country. I can't do that shit anymore.
Oh no.
That's a younger man's
Yeah.
job. Well, I think we're gonna get going here. Okay, let's dive right into it with Greg Hora. He is with the pork producers, Webster County pork producers, state of Iowa pork producers.
You've had very adequate people filling in for me.
Well, they were, but
Yes.
But you know, with all due respect to everybody else, you're still the best one.
Well,
and
thank
I
you.
forgot altogether that JD was supposed to call.
Oh, that's all
JD
right.
Sheldon.
Yeah, well, we have a chance to talk about agriculture and what goes on in northwest and north central Iowa.
Yeah, that's right. Would you consider JD Sheldon? Is your mind open or?
Obviously, Steve King has been a friend of agriculture.
Yeah.
Although he's kind of fallen by the wayside of the party and some of the party insiders.
That's right.
And quite honestly, losing some committee assignments.
All of them.
That makes it difficult for those agriculture groups and farmers like myself to know that we really have representation. And so I do know that when the two new women congresswomen got elected here in Iowa, Abby Finkenauer and who's our one down by Des Moines?
Cindy Axley.
Cindy Axley, thank you. Cindy got appointed to some committees, as did Abby, as Democrat women representing Iowa. And so they've had a lot of agriculture groups out there. I know they've had local groups from the Fort Dodge area and north central Iowa out there, and they're on a learning curve and obviously listening to us. But we continue to need good representation here in north central and northwest Iowa.
Well, Abby, I think, is okay in District 1, but Cindy could be vulnerable. David Young wants to run again, and I mean, she already beat him once, so I don't know what the Republicans were thinking there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you know, those politics that happened, you know, when Cindy ran, I believe there was 27 counties in her district, and she won one of those 27.
But it was Polk County.
It was Polk County.
Well, actually, she won. Some say she got a majority in Dallas County as well, which is right next.
Yeah.
But that's where she was focused on. Suburban
Yep.
women was the big thing at the
Yep.
time. But she can't maintain that.
No. No, and we do know that from an agriculture perspective that the key issues with USM's fact of the matter is we continue to have trade disputes around the world, and we continue to have areas by which we as United States market need to have greater not only representation but equal and fair access. And as far as our agriculture groups, we continue to stay strong together with regarding the access of the markets and zero tariffs. Eliminating tariffs that are in place and bringing that to a zero tariff. And so the USMCA it has been critically important. There continues to be a lot of behind the scene negotiating I know happening, mainly dealing with labor and some of the other issues that the country needs to have in place.
Well, this is just spite. They're just trying to deny Trump everything. They're just, and it's pitiful. And the Democratic Party and Cindy actually should be held accountable for that. And Abby Finkenauer.
Absolutely.
And Rita Hart, if she runs down there, and I think she will down in the congressional second, she should also answer those questions and be responsible for that. Because this is hurting the President Trump, by the way, is being way too obstinate as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this whole tariff thing, I just read a story yesterday that his advisors were telling him, get this trade war resolved, and he will not do it.
Yeah.
He just will. He's dug his heels in. And so that he slapped an extra 10% tariffs on, and the Chinese just said, okay, that's it, we're not trading with you at all.
Yep.
I mean, this is going downhill.
And we know that in the agriculture markets, our soybean products have been the product. So, it's interesting. On the pork market, we continue to sell a large volume, close to 25% overseas, and we're not selling as much to the country of China anymore because of these trade disputes. But right now, pork is a little above break-even prices. We have been pretty volatile, like a lot of markets have been. But price of corn has come up here in the last 6 months. I know that you have Steve Peterson and a couple others on that talk about pricing mechanisms. Price of corn really came up in the month of April and May, topped out in June, and now has fallen off about another 30 to 50 cents a bushel since back in early June there. But you know what? Our profit levels are minimal in the pork industry right now because we're not moving this excess product that we produce. Tariffs have been continuing to be lowered, and they continue to buy larger quantities. However, the price is higher because of the tariffs that are imposed. And quite honestly, the value of the dollar is pretty strong right now. So as the dollar value lowers, U.S. dollar, then that gives us more competitive edge as we sell our products overseas. Other countries can buy more product for the same dollar amount if the price of the value of the dollar is lower.
All right, Greg Hoare is our guest. Of course, he's with the Webster County Pork Producers and the State of Iowa Pork Producers. Greg and I, by the way, or I will join Greg and the pork producers, I should say, a week from today down at the Pork Producers tent. I tell you, I always look forward to going down to the Iowa State Fair with the pork producers. I've done this the last 3, 4, maybe 5 years. I don't know. Time goes so fast for me, but it's always you want to talk about great stuff on a stick. The pork producers have got it going on. Somehow I haven't gotten a pork T-shirt yet.
You like that?
I do. I should go to the pork producers website. I bet they have them there, don't they?
You bet we do. So anyway, what the T-shirt I'm wearing today is because, as your sister stations have been announcing for the last 2 or 3 days, we're doing a grilling right across the street from KVFD and all the stations here with the Community Health Center. And I know your sister station, K97, Darren is already set up over there. I wanted to know when I walked in the studio here at 3 o'clock, how soon the pork producer grill was going to be going. And I said, well, wait till I get off the station with Mike at 4 o'clock. But no, there's a lot of county organizations with pork producers and beef producers around the state of Iowa that we like to give back to our communities. And our Webster County Pork Producer Group, we're quite advocates for helping out in the community. We just did help out last night at the downtown square by the library in Fort Dodge with the National Night Out with the sheriff and police and fire. So we continue to be want to be engaged in that in the community.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Good afternoon. Hey, I hear you talking about the Japanese or the Chinese markets and the Mexican and the Canadian and stuff like that. What happened with European? I heard we had opened some markets and we were exporting a greater quantity of pork to the European market. Are we still moving stuff out that way?
That's a really great question. We do move a small amount of pork from the U.S. into the European market. However, they have, with their economy in the EU, the European Union, they have countries that are expanding the pork production because of the growing demand around the world. And quite honestly, because of some of the trade disputes we have with China right now, Europe is backfilling some of those markets that we used to have as U.S. pork producers. So logistics-wise, it makes more sense for them to grow their own food as opposed to import it from the U.S.
I didn't know if they were capable to handle enough over there or whatever. So, well, are Canadian buyers and sellers still buying American grain that eventually they're selling to China? Is that still occurring?
Yes, that still is occurring. The Chinese will buy product from wherever they can source it, price-wise and quality-wise. And I'll give kudos to the Canadians for stepping up. They have 10% of the population in Canada as what we do in the United States, and they have about 20% of the pig population in Canada as we do in the United States. So they are very strong in the export markets right now because of the rail system that goes to the west in Canada, and then the ports that go from Vancouver to China or Japan or the Pacific Rim. So yes, they're very competitive, quality-wise and price-wise.
Yeah, that's interesting how the market seems to always find a way home with the product, whether it can do it direct or via a couple of turns. It's always interesting.
Yep, that's exactly right. Good observation. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your call. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Questions or comments are welcome. Greg Hoare is our guest, of course, with the pork producers here in Iowa and Webster County. I don't want to get out of here without talking about the African swine flu.
Yeah.
It was mentioned by J.D. Schulten not too long ago
in
the last segment. What do we know about that, and what do we know about that ship that showed up several months ago?
Yep. Well, the ship in New Jersey that you referred to and your listeners have heard in the news or heard us talk about here, all the product that was confiscated was not direct pork products, but it had some indirect pork in the products like ramen noodles or pork bouillon cubes, things of that nature. So that product was all incinerated. But right now, around the world and in the pork industry here in the United States, African swine fever is of preeminent importance, from all the state vet associations to around the country. When we start talking about pork movement, and at any one day in the United States, we have 1 million pigs on the road. And that means that pigs are being transported from farm to farm or from a farm to a harvest facility. And, we harvest about 450,000 pigs a day in the United States. So that is an important number in the fact that we have a virus that, if brought on the shores of the United States, we would have to have a lockdown of pork transportation, of feed transportation, and a number of other service sectors. And so right now we're working with a lot of organizations and a lot of businesses on what's called a secure pork supply. And the reason this is important to the consumers out there is right now, United States, we spend, for the value of our food, of your take-home dollars, it's the lowest in the world. About 10% of your take-home dollars is spent directly for food products. Now, when you start looking at a disease coming on shore and wrecking our markets, that could have some devastating effect to the consumers out here. So we continue to be vigilant on that. And the African swine fever, it continues to spread in China, and we do have people over there that are trying to help repopulate not only healthy pig herd, but keep the virus contained in the areas that's already been affected.
All right, Greg, I look forward to, hopefully I can see you before the 14th, but certainly look forward to seeing you at the Iowa State Fair on the 14th.
Yeah, that's just next week, and Iowa Pork is involved in the pork tent and the Animal Learning Center and the agronomy building, so we engage with a lot of consumers, and just like we did here at the county fairs, and a lot of county fairs have already wrapped up around this part of the state of Iowa, but a lot of kids are involved in 4-H and FFA at the state fair.
And swing by the community health center. It's right across the street here, right at North 10th and 2nd Avenue North. You'll find Greg out there and a number of people I know as well. So thank you, Greg, very much, and hope to see you next week. This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge.
Every month after paying my bills, I used to wonder if I'd have enough money left to buy groceries. Sometimes I did. A lot of times I didn't. Then I learned about 211. It's the number seniors can call for help finding food. With their help, I found a food pantry near me. Now I don't have to wonder if I'll be able to afford groceries because there's plenty of food for everyone. Call 211 for help finding healthy food near you.
Funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP.
When a loved one is having a medical emergency, a few minutes can be the difference between life and death. With Iowa facing a health professional shortage, emergency care may be farther away than you'd think. That's why insurance profits shouldn't matter more than people. Over 117 million Americans depend on air medical transport during an emergency. But insurance companies are refusing to pay for this life-saving service. Call Senators Ernst and Grassley and tell them to support emergency air medical transport, paid for by Alliance for Access to Critical Care.
As the nation's leader in pork production and pork exports, Iowa's pork producers are doing things right. It's their ethical and moral responsibility. Hog farmers keep their pigs safe and healthy, safeguard natural resources, protect public health, and build strong communities every day. Pork quality, responsible production, and continuous improvement are roles they take very seriously. Iowa's pork producers, producing safe, affordable food. Sponsored by Iowa's pork producers and their pork checkoff.
The Webster County pork producers remind you when it comes to protecting their family's health, Iowa's pig farmers are some of the most concerned people around. Safe, affordable, delicious, and nutritious pork can be served for your dinner tonight. Roasted, grilled, stewed, sautéed, stir-fried, broiled, kebabbed, sauced, dipped, sandwiched in your new recipes and your old recipes. Why not buy some pork today and serve it up tonight? This message brought to you by the Webster County pork producers, striving to serve people, pigs, and the planet.
I'm Jamie Brundage, owner of Historic Bruce Funeral Home. We're a full-service funeral home with an off-site crematory. At Bruce's, we specialize in pre-arrangements and family support before, during, and after the service. We also offer beautiful memorial items to help you remember your loved one forever. Bruce Funeral Home is proud to be by your side every step of the way throughout the funeral process. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge.
Every month after paying my bills, I used to wonder if I'd have enough money left to buy groceries. Sometimes I did. A lot of times I didn't. Then I learned about 211. It's the number seniors can call for help finding food. With their help, I found a food pantry near me. Now I don't have to wonder if I'll be able to afford groceries because there's plenty of food for everyone. Call 211 for help finding healthy food near you.
Funded by USDA's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP.
This is Gary Rima, the voice of the UNI Panthers, and you can listen to exciting Panther sports right here on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400, KVFD.
Two sides of the same trip. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. President Trump and the Ohio governor both say his meetings with survivors and first responders in Dayton were well received, offering comfort after the shooting that killed 9 on Sunday. But there were also dueling protests.
It's hard on the community. I mean, you know, the minute that he announced he was coming, we just saw this hyper partisanship that we didn't see before the announcement. And I think that's what's so hard for us when we know we're a fragile community. We've just been through a lot of pain. That tension was real.
Democratic Dayton Mayor Nan Whaley says she urged the president to take action on gun violence. He and the First Lady are now in El Paso, where 22 people were killed Saturday. Republican Governor Greg Abbott.
Our job is to keep Texans safe.
He's launching a roundtable search for solutions, while the president's critics and Democratic presidential hopefuls continue to blame his rhetoric for fueling hate and violence.
This president has fanned the flames
of white supremacy in this nation.
Joe Biden campaigning today in Iowa. President Trump condemning hate groups again today. Just hours before his arrival in El Paso, immigration raids in Mississippi. Fox's Gernal Scott has this live.
Lisa, at 7 locations in 6 cities, raids planned months ago were done as part of President Trump's promised crackdown on undocumented immigrants. U.S. Attorney Mike Hurst says agents today were armed with
administrative and criminal search warrants, resulting in the detention of approximately 680 illegal aliens.
Acting ICE Director Matt Albin says this is a message to businesses as well.
The integrity of their employment records are just as important to the federal government as the integrity of tax files or banking records.
Detainees are being processed to see if they can be prosecuted, Lisa.
Gernal, thanks. A mixed day overall on Wall Street. The Dow finishing down 22 points. This is Fox News.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving. Built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via a download.
2 teens suspected of killing 3 people in Canada, including an American woman, are found dead.
Police in Canada are not saying how they believe those teens died. They're just saying the bodies were found about a half-mile away from where that banged-up aluminum boat they believe the teens had been using. That was the piece of evidence that renewed this search focus after the manhunt was scaled down 6 days ago. Police spent over a week combing through dense terrain, trying to find any sign of those teens after someone said they saw them scavenging for food near a landfill. Police, over the last several weeks, had tracked these teens across the country.
Fox's Jackie Heinrich. For now, the investigation continues. Democrats on a key House committee are now suing over the refusal of former White House counsel Don McGahn to testify in the aftermath of the Mueller report. The lawsuit is aimed at enforcing a subpoena. It also challenges the Trump administration's argument that former White House employees have absolute immunity from cooperating with Congress. The House Judiciary Committee reached a deal with the White House to review documents from McGahn, but they still want him to testify in person. An about face from Facebook, which briefly pulled an event that calls on people to raid Area 51.
Facebook reinstates the viral Storm Area 51 event, claiming its removal was an accident. Over 2 million pledging to raid the restricted Nevada military base on September 20th in an effort to find aliens. The creator of the tongue-in-cheek page, Matthew Roberts, receiving a message letting him know it violated the site's community standards. A Facebook rep now saying it was a mistake. Area 51 has long been the focus of conspiracy theories about extraterrestrials. The page prompting a warning from the U.S. Air Force, strongly discouraging folks against trespassing.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge will celebrate National Health Center Week with a free community block party tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. The event will take place in front of their building located at 126 North 10th Street in downtown Fort Dodge. The celebration includes free child wellness checks, free sports physicals, a free meal, as well as activities and information for families. The event is part of a national campaign to increase awareness of the ways health centers are providing affordable health care in communities. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge opened in 2006, and in 2016 it expanded to increase exam rooms, dental labs, and added behavioral health services. The Webster County pork producers will be on hand providing the food for the event. The child wellness exams will take place from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. tonight, and the block party is 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Here's the Community Health Center of Fort Dodge Outreach Coordinator Regina Subier talking about the event.
It is open to the public. You do not have to be a patient of the health center to come this afternoon, either to have a meal or to take advantage of any of the services that we're offering. It really is open to the entire community.
Senator Randy Feenstra was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine. Feenstra spoke about his bid for the 4th District congressional seat currently held by Congressman Steve King. Here's Senator Feenstra's comments on the importance of the 4th District congressional seat.
This is what I've always told people. You think of the 4th District, we're number 1 in the world in agriculture. We absolutely need a voice for these issues, and whether it be the next farm bill or whatever it is, we need somebody that can be very active and support what's going on in the 4th District, and that's my whole goal.
2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration fee that does include a meal. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Partly cloudy skies this afternoon with highs around 85. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. 60 tonight, partly cloudy. A blend of clouds and sun again tomorrow, high of 79. Temperatures near average Friday and Saturday with highs in the low 80s. Chance for scattered storms Saturday. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 86.
Today, business happens here, and virtually anywhere. Because today, innovative companies are reinventing the way business happens. And they need people who can keep up. With the expertise and technology to get packages to over 150 million delivery points. So, who can help you deliver the future of commerce? The United States Postal Service. See why we deliver more e-commerce packages to homes than anyone at USPS.com/future.
Ooh, I love that house.
Yeah, but look whose sign is in the yard. That's not who we're working with.
We don't have to work with them just because they have it listed. Our agent at Neighborhood Realty can show us the house.
They can?
Well, sure, they can show us any house we like, no matter whose sign is in the yard.
Well, then let's call Neighborhood Realty for a tour.
I'm Sasha Fisher with Neighborhood Realty. We can put you in the home of your dreams, no matter who it's listed with. Neighborhood Realty, online at neighborhood-realty.net.
The last Market on Central of the season is this Thursday night. Make your way to downtown Fort Dodge this Thursday from 4:30 till 7:30 for an incredible lineup of new vendors and amazing entertainment. This week, enjoy the sounds of the Gabriel Alves Trio. Come check out the variety of artisans, giving you a mix of homemade goods, repurposed items, specials from downtown businesses, and delicious food. There's something for everyone Thursday at Market on Central in historic downtown Fort Dodge. This month's platinum sponsor is Fort Dodge Ford Toyota.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. And, of course, we are going to tell the truth, make it matter, and we're never going to be boring. Ladies and gentlemen, a cataclysmic event has occurred in our country. Dr. Dean Stanza, libertarian from Southern Methodist University, is in full agreement with Paul Krugman, noted liberal economist. As a matter of fact, I don't think he is an economist. I think he's a liberal commentator on the economy, but he has been a writer for the New York Times for a long time, written a lot of books that most conservatives think are nonsense. But today, we have Dean Stansel, and you can find this piece on my Facebook page. This is in the New York Times. The New York Times! Oh, my God. Trump's trade quagmire is what it's called, and it's written by Paul Krugman. Hi, Dean. How's things?
Things are good. How about you?
I'm real good. Dr. Dean Stansel is a professor of economics, a PhD, of course, at Southern Methodist University. He's with the O'Neill Center. Explain the O'Neill Center, please.
Oh, sure. The O'Neill Center for Global Markets and Freedom is in the Cox Business School at SMU in Dallas, and we're set up by one of our alums, William O'Neill, who also was the founder of Investors Business Daily newspaper. We focus on studying the impact of competitive market forces on freedom and prosperity in the global economy. Folks can check out our website at o'neillcenter.org. That's ONEIL.
Now, maybe you've guessed that Paul Krugman has joined with Dean Stansel, or Dean Stansel has joined with. I don't know which is which here, but if you've listened over the many years that Dr. Stansel's been with us, you know he's not in favor of, and who is really? Who's not in favor of tariffs, and Trump's attitude seems to be, we have this huge club called a tariff, and we're going to keep hitting the Chinese with it, and they'll just give up. I assume that you and Paul don't agree.
Well, I mean, so first of all, Paul Krugman, he won the Nobel Prize back in 2008 for his work on international trade and economic geography stuff. That for most people, if they recognize the name, because face it, even Nobel Prize winning economists aren't that famous per se, but if they've heard his name, it's because of his kind of polemic, stridently left-wing liberal columns in the New York Times, and so I disagree with him almost universally, and even in this piece, there's some things where I would part ways with him, but his work on trade is excellent, and this is just a piece that's kind of going into in pretty good detail some of the problems with our current, as he put it, quagmire, and he made a nice comparison to the Vietnam quagmire, where folks, policymakers, essentially understood that there was no way we could win, but they couldn't get out of it, and so his what he's putting forth here, his hypothesis is that Trump's in kind of the same boat, and I tend to agree with him on that we're not going to win. And the idea that we're using a club on the Chinese is misguided and incorrect, because the consumers and the domestic producers here in the U.S. are the ones paying higher prices for stuff coming out of China, or having to switch to sources from other countries and pay more in that way. And so it's a club that's kind of bouncing back and hitting Trump in the head, or hitting the U.S. consumer in the head. It's not really hurting the Chinese that much yet.
Well, I'm a little surprised at Paul Krugman's column in the New York Times as well. He puts out 5 points as to why the tariffs imposed by the United States are failing, and then he says, and this is something again I never hear a liberal say. I could, of course, be wrong. Liberals are never wrong.
You're right, and he is particularly strident, and I saw that, but I'd forgotten about it. Yeah, that is an unusual line for someone like him, but I guess that gives those who disagree with him something to hang on.
The liberals are never wrong. They're always moral, and they're always right, and they're smarter than everybody else.
I mean, I think part of what he was, because his fifth point, I think, is where he's maybe going on a limb a little bit on the some of the currency stuff that's happening with China devaluing their currency, and the U.S. maybe retaliates, that other countries will retaliate, and this will get very ugly very fast, was his fifth point. And I think in some ways he's saying maybe on that point he's not quite right. but because that is a bit of a bit of speculation there, right? But the stuff about the size, his first point about how these tariffs are basically back to pre-1930s levels, and the stuff about how the Chinese aren't really bearing the burden. And the other thing, Michael, that's so interesting to me is that in the campaign, and even since then, the trade deficit, just like with, years ago, Ross Perot, right?
Right.
This trade deficit. The trade deficit is getting worse, right? If these tariffs were supposed to fix that, then you should see the trade deficit declining, and it's not. It's getting bigger. So that's a major failure. Instead of winning, it's losing. But fortunately, because trade deficits actually are a good thing, it means the Americans are winning, at least in part.
Well, this appears, and I would refer you to a Wall Street Journal article. It's also on my Facebook page that Dr. Stanzel sent me, and of course he usually does this. He'll send me 2 or 3 pieces that kind of tie together. This entire tariff war waged by the United States is almost all driven by President Trump. His advisors do not agree. His son-in-law, Jared Kushner, does not agree. But he is adamant that the Chinese will cave. And then, of course, in true Trumpian fashion, he acknowledges that the Chinese can hold out until after the next election in November of 2020 and probably get a better deal, much better deal, from a Democratic president. And, of course, the Democrats are going to tout this, and they have been touting this. Look at you fools in the Midwest, you in the flyover country. You voted for Trump, put him in office, now he's screwing you. I mean, we've kind of batted that away for quite some time, but these tariffs, this trade war has been going on for a long time now. And the Farm Bureau, the pork producers, they're wondering if they'll ever get back to where they were. And they're kind of thinking that they won't now. And if they've lost the Chinese market, they've lost. Big.
Right. So you're basically saying that the Democrats on that one are correct.
Well, I don't think the Democrats are correct. Just
in the narrow sense that the policies are harming them.
That's right. The very narrow sense. I mean, if the Democrats are at this point, I don't know if you saw those debates, but they're going whatever way the wind blows. For God's sake, that's where they are. And whatever Trump is doing is awful. In this particular case, they're probably right.
Yes. See, and I thought that that article really told an interesting story about the extent to which his advisors are saying the right things, but he's essentially ignoring them completely. And look, ultimately he's the one that's going to be held accountable or not at the voting polls. But on the one hand, it's good that he's got. I feel like he has some good advisors there that at least understand that these tariffs are not such a great idea, but he's not apparently ready to listen to them. So he has his own views, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, it's Trump against the whole world here, apparently. I mean,
right? It's kind of like a game of chicken, because, like you said, with the Chinese government, they probably can hold out and try to make things as bad as possible for the U.S. economy, and wait and I guess hope that they get a better deal with a new turnover of leadership here in the U.S. But all of that is bad news for the economy. It's bad news for consumers. It's bad news for U.S. businesses. It's a mess, and obviously I try to pay attention to daily fluctuations in the stock markets, but the markets have been in a bit of a decline, to understatement probably, and so that's kind of showing you that at least investors think things are headed in the right direction. But on the other hand, Michael, I want to point something out. So when Trump took office, roughly the stock market was at about 19, 20, somewhere in there, 20,000. It's even if it continues this decline, we're still about at about 25,000. So we're still about 25% up over just 2.5 years. I mean, that's a good rate of return. And my only point in that is saying that we really get too exercised about these fluctuations. When you look at the long-term trend, we're headed upwards, and probably we're due for some sort of correction. Anyway, it's obviously there are policy reasons. I think that they're driving it, but bad policy reasons they're driving it. But I do think that the sky is not falling.
Well, no, but it depends on what part of the country that you're in. Actually, the pork producers especially are concerned, and certainly the ethanol people and all those folks are very concerned about trade with China. And,
sure. No, I just mean about the stock market.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not as concerned about that as probably a lot of people are.
Yeah.
The other thing we didn't, because I wasn't able to come on last week, we didn't get to talk about the Fed's lowering the interest rate, and it all ties together, right? Because they did that, and some people are thinking, well, so they finally caved, and Trump felt kind of emboldened to go forward with this. I mean, the tariff thing on, I guess it was Friday, was a surprise to people, and it spooked the markets. But in some ways, I think that he kind of feels like their move gave him a little more flexibility. But part of the problem with what they've done here is that interest rates are already quite low, and so they removed their ability to kind of do their job when we inevitably hit the next recession, because at least the textbook story is that in a recession you want to lower those discount rates and hope that it goes through to regular market interest rates so that you can stimulate investment and that sort of thing. But if you've already got interest rates lower than they should be, which in my opinion they are.
Why do you believe that? I was a young man when Jimmy Carter was in the White House, and Jimmy Carter, a fine man for the most part, Lord knows he has his flaws, but he was the worst president of the 20th century, and that's saying something. Jimmy Carter, when he left office, was right after the Iran fiasco, and the interest rates were 18%. You had to pay 18 cents for every dollar you borrowed, and that was in the late 70s. We were going nowhere. And that, of course, was the Federal Reserve. That was Paul Volcker, who was determined to crush inflation by raising the interest rates. Well, he did. By the time Ronald Reagan got there and started cutting taxes and breaking unions, it looked like Reagan was a genius and Carter wasn't.
Well, listen, I don't defend Carter, but I would say I wouldn't pick him as the worst president of the 20th or 19th. What did you say? 19th century.
20th. What are you going to tell me? Woodrow Wilson or something?
I mean, we're going to go down a side street here, but I would pick FDR.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe that's a generational thing, but I mean, we had a very small, limited government with a very small role for the government in the economy before he took office.
Who, Calvin Coolidge and Herbert Hoover? I forgot about those guys. Maybe
Exactly, yeah. And Jimmy Carter did some good things in regards to deregulation of the trucking industry, if I remember right, and some of these other things. But yeah, so he was not great. I'll grant you that. But those interest rates were too high, right? And so there's a middle ground there somewhere. In my view, the main thing is that these things should be market determined, not determined by some group of kind of politically appointed so-called experts.
We're going to go back, I swear to you, but I just need to tell you that when you talk deregulation, as Reagan did with the broadcast industry, there were all kinds of broadcast companies all over the United States. Now there's a very few very large ones, and the same thing can be said for trucking companies. There's not a lot of independent small trucking companies anymore because most of the fleets are huge. Fort Dodge is kind of a trucking town, but we don't have near the trucking companies that we used to because the large carriers can afford to drive them out of business. So I've never really understood. I understand you're against all forms of government intervention in the economy, but sometimes deregulation sounds better than it actually works out.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't very aware back then. I wasn't paying attention to the issue.
That's because you were 6, Dean.
Maybe a little older, but yeah. There are trade-offs all across the board on these things. But hey, on the interest rates, one of the things that I think people don't recognize is that the interest rate, of course, well, it's a price. People probably understand that. But when we artificially keep it lower than it should be, and we did this, of course, leading up to the last financial crisis, what it means is that investment projects, right? Some entrepreneur deciding whether they want to borrow money to invest in their business and expand it. If it's something that's not profitable at, say, a 5% interest rate, and the interest rate falls to 3%, then it becomes profitable. Well, what that means is that kind of on the margins, it's not a very good idea, right? If it only is profitable at this artificially low interest rate, then what happens is when the economy starts to tank, you're going to see these projects first go belly up when maybe they shouldn't have been engaged in the first place. And so if we have a market-based interest rate rather than a politically determined interest rate, although granted the Fed is pseudo-independent, I think things would work out better. And the point is, with the quantitative easing we did after the previous recession, it just delays the inevitable kind of weeding out of bad investments that has to occur, but we prolong the pain by engaging in kind of stimulative monetary policy, which essentially is what we just did by lowering the rate.
By the way, Dr. Libertarian, this just popped up on my phone. America's two largest newspaper chains, Gatehouse and Gannett, have announced a merger. Goodbye, little newspapers. Whatever newspapers or papers were barely hanging on, you're dead now, because these guys are going to come in and cut expenses and jobs, and they'll probably put the whole thing online. But anyway, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Our guest is Dr. Dean Stenzel. He's with Southern Methodist University. Yeah, we kind of got off the side, but you've been with me for a long time now, Dean. You know I can go down any street. The Federal Reserve did cut interest rates, as Dr. Stenzel mentioned a short time ago. It's wow. If 2.4% isn't low, and you can find this on my Facebook page as well. Dr. Stenzel sent me a piece from the New York Post, and the title of it is, well, I think Dr. Stenzel wrote the banner headline here. The Fed is courting disaster by leaving interest rates too low. Why are they courting disaster?
Well, exactly. I think I got ahead of you, because that's what I was talking about just a minute ago. Is that you get these kind of unprofitable, unwise investments that occur because they seem profitable at a lower rate than they otherwise would, and you had the Fed keeping the interest rate basically at zero for about 7 years after the financial system went belly up, and it prolonged the recession, and it also made for a weaker expansion, right? So we're in the record-breaking longest expansion in recorded history in the U.S. at least, but it was really weak at first, and it seems like it may be weakening even now, because they came out with some numbers recently. I think it was the GDP numbers most recently and they always revise, right? They go back and revise the numbers for previous quarters. And what they found, remember, Trump was all about 3% growth, 3% increase in GDP. When they revised last year's numbers, it fell to below 3, and this year I think we're on pace for below 3. So one of his mantras about all the growth he's going to get has not quite worked out yet. So there's time, but it does seem like things may be headed in the wrong direction.
Well, we deregulated. Now we have all these national banks in every little town. We got a couple of them here, for God's sake. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they're every place. We don't have the. Does that bother you? I mean, let's talk a little about the economy. Does that bother you? And I know you've made you've called up the illustration before of buggy whip companies going out of business and creative destruction and all these sort of things. But the banking business should be eternal. The trucking business will be with us for years and years to come, and they're bigger than ever. Broadcast entities, newspaper chains, they're all more and more power and money is getting into fewer and fewer hands. Is that a concern to a libertarian?
I don't think in any sort of knee-jerk way that it's a concern. Certainly concentrated power can be problematic. If you have a government that responds to kind of pleas for assistance and special favors, which we do, sadly, but the thing on the banks is to me, but like with the newspapers, you can see why they're merging, because they're losing money hand over fist, and by merging they might be able to stem some of the red ink and hang around a little bit longer. But with the banks, the thing about this is, and maybe this is a generational thing, I don't know, I have not set foot inside a bank in decades. And I often wonder, what are people doing inside that building?
Now that you mention it, I haven't either, but I do communicate online, and I actually call every now and then.
Sure, but to me also there are advantages of having a relationship with a bank that is national, in the sense that if I'm traveling, I know that I can, not that I ever actually go into a bank. If I needed to, I could find one, and I wouldn't be stuck but things have changed so much in terms of how we buy things, and that, to me, banks are, I don't want to say they're obsolete, but I don't have much interaction with them.
Well, I'll tell you, newspapers are obsolete. I've been calling them a 19th century information device for a long time. And I'm somebody who grew up loving newspapers and reading them extensively, and I still do. I subscribe to half a dozen newspapers. That's because mainly of my job, of course. But I get the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times and the Des Moines Register, Cedar Rapids Gazette, many newspapers. Washington Post, I get it. They're great writers, great reporters.
Yes.
But I can see them moving to an online business altogether.
I think the service they're providing is crucial, and one that people are in some cases willing to pay for, at least. But the tangible, like physical newspaper idea is, I think, has kind of gone past us, and we're gradually seeing it go away. But reporting on the news and keeping up, keeping tabs on what our government does is a hugely important role that journalists play, and that's not going to go away. It's just you have these transition costs when technology changes, and just like we talked about, and I think you mentioned it before, when Sears Roebuck came in and drove out some of the local companies, when Walmart came in and drove
certainly
out local companies, Amazon's driving out. Well, that's the way the world works. There's always some new innovation that benefits us in some way, but hurts some people who are doing it the old way.
Dr. Dean Stanzel has been our guest. There's a lot of food for thought there, Dean. I appreciate it. Great segment with Dr. Dean Stanzel, who is with Southern Methodist University and the O'Neill Center. Anything before we go, Dean? Are we all bright and intelligent and well informed today?
We had the sales tax holiday. I think you guys had one in Iowa.
Yes, we did.
But not enough time to go into detail. But there's an interesting piece in Reason Magazine based on a Tax Foundation study that these things are a bad idea, basically, and they don't even help the people they're trying to help.
Now, I want you to go tell Beto O'Rourke that he's a mile wide and a quarter-inch deep, because that's Thanks a lot, Dean.
All right, sir. Good to talk to you.
This is AM 1400 KVFD.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
If you're struggling with weight and frustrated with dieting each and every year, Mark Patrick Hypnosis can help. Join the over 500,000 people who have attended Mark Patrick Hypnosis programs with weight loss results. Mark Patrick Hypnosis will be in Fort Dodge on Wednesday, August 14th. Summer is here, so it's time to get back on track.
Since August, I can honestly say I have not had one potato chip.
It was life-changing for me.
And I don't think about desserts like I used to.
Bridget, how much have you lost now?
I had lost a total of 83 pounds.
Holy cow.
It's easy, it's fun, very relaxing, and very successful.
And I would just say go for it.
For only $49.99, lose all the weight you want, 100% guaranteed. Be at the Quality Inn and Suites on Highway 169 Fort Dodge, Wednesday, August 14th. Seminar time is from 5:30 till 7:30 p.m. Registration begins at 5. Attend this program and find out how the power of hypnosis can help you achieve your weight loss goals. Seating is limited, so get there early. Learn more at markpatrickseminars.com.
Ever wonder why Europeans seem to speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's award-winning technology gets you speaking right away, whether you're learning Spanish, French, or German. And best of all, you'll remember what you've learned.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Using Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons, you can be speaking confidently in your new language within weeks.
I was amazed that I could start having real-life conversations right away. It was so fast. Now I'm speaking Spanish. Woohoo!
No wonder Babbel is the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Try it for yourself and see why Babbel is the quick way to get conversational in a new language, like Spanish, French, or more. You can try Babbel for free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app and try it for free. That's Babbel, Babbel.com, or download the app to try it for free. That's Babbel.com.
Good Samaritan Society Manson is looking for full and part-time certified nursing assistants for all shifts. Don't miss your chance to work at this Bronze Award 5-star Christian care facility, named one of the best in the country by U.S. News and World Report. Good Samaritan Society Manson offers excellent benefits, working just 30 hours a week. Qualified CNAs may apply online at good-sam.com. Good Samaritan Society Manson is an equal opportunity employer. Women, minorities, and veterans are encouraged to apply.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge will celebrate National Health Center Week with a free community block party tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. The event will take place in front of their building located at 126 North 10th Street in downtown Fort Dodge. The celebration includes free child wellness checks, free sports physicals, a free meal, as well as activities and information for families. The event is part of a national campaign to increase awareness of the ways health centers are providing affordable health care in communities. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge opened in 2006, and in 2016 it expanded to increase exam rooms, dental labs, and added behavioral health services. The Webster County pork producers will be on hand providing the food for the event. The child wellness exams will take place from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. tonight, and the block party is 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Here's the Community Health Center of Fort Dodge Outreach Coordinator Regina Subier talking about the event.
It is open to the public. You do not have to be a patient of the health center to come this afternoon, either to have a meal or to take advantage of any of the services that we're offering. It really is open to the entire community.
Senator Randy Feenstra was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine. Feenstra spoke about his bid for the 4th District congressional seat currently held by Congressman Steve King. Here's Senator Feenstra's comments on the importance of the 4th District congressional seat.
This is what I've always told people. You think of the 4th District, we're number 1 in the world in agriculture. We absolutely need a voice for these issues, and whether it be the next farm bill or whatever it is, we need somebody that can be very active and support what's going on in the 4th District, and that's my whole goal.
2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration fee that does include a meal. For KVFD from the Jerry Sheeter Newsroom, I'm Rob Jones.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. 4:38 in the weather. Sunny today, high 86, right where we are right now. Overnight, cloudy with a low of 61. Tomorrow, cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with a high of 80. On Friday, sunny with a high of 81. Saturday, a chance of rain. Otherwise, sunny with a high of 85. Sunday, cloudy, high 81. On Monday, a good chance of a thunderstorm. Otherwise, sunny with a high of 81. And on Tuesday, sunny with a high of 80. Right now, 86 degrees at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South, Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. All of us here at Alpha Media would like to extend our sincere sympathy to the family of Patricia C. Bemrick. Patricia C. Bemrick passed away on Monday at the age of 86. Ms. Bemrick is the grandson of our mayor and the mother of Greg Bemrick of Bemrick Electric. The Bemricks, of course, are a well-known and well-respected family in our town. Service for Patricia Bemrick will be this Friday at 10:30 at Corpus Christi Church. Again, Patricia C. Bemrick of Fort Dodge has died at the age of 86. Obituaries this hour brought to you by the historic Bruce's Funeral Home at 923 First Avenue South in Fort Dodge. You may contact the historic Bruce's Funeral Home by calling 515-576-5117 or online at www.brucesfuneralhome.com. It's 4:40. Brian Peterson from Blue Ribbon Waters is here, and we'll talk with him in a few minutes.
From the Fox Business Network, whiplash on Wall Street. The Dow finishing down Wednesday, but only fractionally after dropping nearly 600 points early on. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ both managing to finish higher. Trade tensions and worries about interest rates are making investors jittery. Disney says it will offer a bundle of its 3 streaming services. It will include Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus. The new service will start in November and cost $13 a month. FedEx is putting the brakes on its relationship with Amazon. The delivery giant says it will end its ground shipping deal with Amazon when their contract expires at the end of the month. The move comes as Amazon vamps up its own logistics and delivery service. Subway says it will test Beyond Meatball Marinara subs in nearly 700 locations here in the U.S. and Canada. The new meatless, plant-based sandwich will go on sale next month. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ashley Webster.
Hey, my friend's retail store was the victim of IoT password theft.
Yep. Cybercriminals are taking over security cameras, payment systems, and other IoT devices by exploiting vulnerabilities.
What if they target us and our dispersed network?
We're secured with Barracuda. We have advanced firewalls for our sites, enhanced security for our cloud infrastructure, and total email protection.
Such a relief.
Protect your business at Barracuda.com. Barracuda, your journey secured.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Take us to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for this station so we can go wherever you want us to.
Smart home technology makes everyday life easier. And now, we're making it easy to afford for everyone. Introducing the new Smart Home Collection, only from Budget Blinds. We make it easy and affordable because now we can motorize the beautiful shades or blinds you already own to work with a remote. And they'll be cordless too, a big safety necessity for kids and pets. Our Budget Blinds Smart Home Collection also features so many more choices. Top names including Sonos, the ultimate whole home wireless sound system. The best part? At Budget Blinds, we do it all for you. Design, install, and program it all. That's style and service for everyone, at every budget. Get your free smart home consultation. Go online to budgetblinds.com or call 855-BUDGET-BLINDS. Make everyday life just a little bit easier. Call 855-BUDGET-BLINDS now. At participating independently owned and operated franchises only. Ask for details.
Have the talk of the lifetime with the ones you love.
This code asks, what events in our nation's history had an impact on you and how?
Pearl Harbor was on my 10th birthday, December 7th, 1941. That was the start of World War II. I was doing the farm chores with my brother, and the vet came to check our cows and told us all about it. It was a scary time.
Sharing stories and memories with those who matter most will be especially significant when it's time to honor a life lived. Contact Gunderson Funeral Home to learn more about having the talk of a lifetime.
Hey, Mason here. Join me this Thursday from 5 to 6 as I broadcast live for the last Market on Central of the season. You gotta check out everything they have to offer. Most of it's made in Iowa. I'll see you this Thursday at Market on Central in downtown Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
All right, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Yeah, we're going to tell the truth, make it matter, and we're never going to be boring. And I'm joined today by Brian Peterson from Blue Ribbon Waters. Hi, Brian.
Afternoon, Mike.
Well, I'm glad to see it. I'm glad you could come today.
Always glad to stop in.
And I'll be glad to be with you and your family Friday at the Iowa State Fair. Where you guys? Where are you going to be? I mean, I'm sure you're there with your business.
Well, actually, I guess you could technically. I'm down there. What's taking me down there on Friday is I took part this spring in a program put on by Goldman Sachs, the big scary bank.
Yeah.
They run a program called 10,000 Small Businesses. And I was fortunate enough, along with 3 other people here from Fort Dodge, to be chosen to be a part of this program. Really built to kind of try and help build up your small business acumen.
Okay.
Your ability to deal with financials, human resources. Kind of open your eyes to other opportunities and maybe things that you might not have understood about your very own business by basically putting you in a group with about 40 other small business owners. So we're all dealing with a lot of the same issues, whether it be hiring people, keeping good talent around. Just looking at our financials, knowing when's a good time to invest, when's a good time to maybe pull some money out. Just it was a very interesting thing, and I was lucky to be able to go through it. I was lucky to be chosen to go through it. They kind of put you through a whole application process.
Really, Goldman Sachs?
Yeah, they put a pretty big investment in Iowa, basically putting two groups of about 40 businesses apiece. So there was about 80 of us. I know in the first group there was one gentleman from Fort Dodge, Ben Pingle, was able to be a part of that one. And then in the second group that I was in, that ran from late April all the way through the end of June, they basically had us in weekly classes, trying to help us figure out these different things and make a good plan forward for our businesses. Really, with the idea that Goldman Sachs has a good understanding that while we might not be at their kind of level. Obviously, every business starts out at some much smaller level like ours and grows into something much larger. And the idea is that they're trying to pick businesses that they feel have a good opportunity, have a good background and a good potential to grow into something more, to help grow and stimulate their own local economies, their state economies, and
they picked your business.
Somehow, I think I just snuck in. I may have just talked over well enough, but
no need to be modest.
No,
here.
no.
I mean,
it was one of those where it was an honor to be chosen. I was lucky enough. Like I said, there was Cheryl O'Hearn with Spin Market was in that same class with me, along with Todd McCubbin of Shiny Top Brewing. So I got a good opportunity to kind of work a little bit more with those folks, and then. There were several people there were people from all over the state: Mason City, Cedar Rapids, Des Moines. Really had a pretty good coverage of the whole state. But really was in a lot of cases as a small business owner, while we all talk to each other, here in town, you're not exactly sitting down and really getting into the nitty gritty of things. Whereas, in this course, you were really encouraged and really pushed to open up and really talk about, exactly what was going on in your business, the whys, the hows, and learn a lot of things that maybe you just were just part of your routine. There were things that you just did every day. Maybe that was a good thing, maybe it was a bad thing, but you got to see the same thing from other people that, that are being the same kind of honest with you. It was a really fun program to be a part of. I know they're planning on doing a couple more groups, I believe, again, next winter, next spring, January to April to June. And I know they're looking for applicants. So really, if you just Google the 10,000 small business, Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses, you can get to a pretty simple application form. And then they basically review the applications. They may or may not bring you in for an interview or two, face to face. But then once you're there, they provide all the resources. They're bringing in faculty from the Wharton Business School, from Babson College, from individuals that are a part of Goldman Sachs. They're bringing in some really high-end talent, and then also, let's see, David Barwin from right here at Iowa Central came down and taught a section of it. Folks come over from UNI, obviously DMAC in Des Moines is a part of it. But the community colleges have really been a big part of making the program work. They've all just, everybody really kind of got together, helped put together a good program with this. It was just a really fun thing to be a part of. So Friday's actually going to be, they're putting on kind of a big graduation ceremony for us.
Really?
Yeah. So, they've got, I think the CEO from Goldman Sachs is going to be there.
No kidding. Is that still Blankfein or whatever his name is?
Off the top of my head, I can't even remember what I just saw in the email. They kind of gave the list of speakers. Kim Reynolds, there'll be some other dignitaries and whatnot there.
What time of day is this happening?
That's actually happening from about 10:30 to 11:30 in the morning.
Okay.
But then they'll also, Goldman Sachs is also having a booth there at the State Fair, where any of the participating businesses can go and and be a part of, talk a little bit about their business, obviously talk about the overall program, their experience with it, and try and, get some more Iowa small businesses involved in it. It's been a national program. They've done some other larger groups, but they've only done 2 groups specific to the state of Iowa. So to see them doing investment outside of New York or Philadelphia or D.C., outside
That's
of the major
remarkable, really.
out of your major areas, to see them coming and putting some investment here into the heartland of America, to me, it said a lot for what they wanted to do. They put on a first-class program. When we traveled down there for for 3 or 4 days each month for classes, for face-to-face classes, they put us up in a nice hotel, served us good food, really made it a first-class program, really made you feel a part of something special.
Wow. I had no idea that was going on.
Well, I was fortunate enough that, Amy Pingle and some of the other folks out at Iowa Central just kind of made me aware that this program was coming up, encouraged me to put an application in, and in hindsight, I was really glad I did.
Was there a charge, or?
No, it was completely free to the people that participate. So it's really a pretty impressive program, and you really get to learn a lot about what a lot of other small businesses that are based right here in Iowa, that are headquartered, owned, operated right here out of Iowa are doing, that are making changes or making an impact on a much larger scale. But the fact that these are Iowa companies, and and they're looking to hire other Iowans and bring more Iowans in, and and help make our help kind of advertise our state outside of this state.
Yeah.
It was really good to to learn and to be a part of that kind of a group.
What is your a lot of business owners tell me they have trouble hiring qualified help or skilled workers of any kind. In fact, some people tell me that they have who are looking for truck drivers, and I know you use truck drivers in your business. They have trouble finding a guy who can pass a drug test.
Well, I'm going to say I've been very lucky on that one. My staff,
good, huh?
I've had a very solid staff now. Actually, really haven't had much any turnover in the last 3-4 years. They've been I've got a very good crew of delivery drivers. But I'm kind of the exception to that rule, because I'm hiring a guy to work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. We don't work any holidays. Well, at least any of the major ones. There's still a lot of bankers' holidays that we don't take, but but for the most part, the biggest thing is with every business has their own challenges and
right.
what they're looking for. Mine, I've just tried to place mine where we create a good environment where people enjoy coming to work. When I'm trying to hire somebody or looking for a person, I'm almost looking for the right personality fit as much as I am. Do they have it?
Yeah.
If they don't have a CDL, are they willing to get one? Are they willing to learn, or can I train them up on it? But as a person, are they going to fit? Working with me, working with the other people that I've got in my business to do the job that we need to get done. So hiring, it can always be a challenge.
Yeah.
But you really you try and create the right environment. Try and treat the people that you got in the best ways that you can. And those things, in my mind, are really what kind of make the difference on when you're trying to find people, when you're trying to keep people.
Yeah.
It's the culture you create in a business. It's that work environment. It's do you enjoy your coworkers? Do you when you get up in the morning, is it, oh man, I got to go to work today, or is it, okay, I'm just you're gonna go to. We all know we got to get up and go to work in the morning, But is it is it painful to get up and do that, or is it a fairly pleasant experience? Is it just okay? I get to go to work today. Good deal.
I get to make some money.
Yeah, I get to make some money, and and you try and compensate people as best you can. And that's always part of, keeping and retaining people too. But, you can read all sorts of surveys and all kinds of things out there that, that tell you that, pay is not typically the number one thing people are looking for. There, it's got to do with kind of the extras.
It's probably a close second, though. Right?
It's pretty, I'm not saying it's not up there. It's still up there, I
always liked the radio business, but I was a married man. I had to get out of it because I couldn't do this job with what I'm making now and have a family.
Yeah,
I couldn't. I mean, it's fun for me, and I'm an older man, so I just cruise right along here. But it's got to be those things have to be a consideration.
Well, there's always got to be. It's always got to fit where you're at. It's got to fit where you're at in your life. It's got to fit. Be able to fit your lifestyle. It's just got to be something that Again, it's got to be something you enjoy getting up and doing.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're never really going to last very long at it.
So finding good workers is not a problem, or.
Well, I'm just going to say for me personally, it hasn't.
Okay.
It hasn't been. I've been very happy with the crew that I've got and the people that I've been able to find when I've needed to find them. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that don't need more help. I mean, overall, of all the businesses that we serve, that's one of the things that I hear is just where they're asking where have I found people, or how am I going about finding people, or as a state, we still have to figure out how to get a labor force here.
How many people do you employ?
We've got 9 people on staff.
Okay.
So, not a huge number of people by any means, but, we're still a decent-sized small business. On a statewide level, though, even if you talk to people that are even in the Des Moines area, that seems to be where everybody's moving to. They're still struggling to find more and more people. Just as much as we are, out here in the more rural communities. But every community is trying to figure out, as a state, we've been trying to figure out for the last 25, 30 years how do we even just keep the kids that we grow up here.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us that grow up here, and I was one of them. As soon as I got out of college, I split. And
Sure.
I ran off to Colorado and went and did my thing for 15 years. I ended up coming back,
Mm-hmm.
but for the vast majority of most of our educated. Most of the kids that go on to get any kind of a degree, well, they tend to go to Minneapolis or Chicago or Kansas City. A lot of them end up in Des Moines. But the ability to attract people back into the state, or attract and keep a labor force as a state is definitely something that that I know the last several governors have all been trying to work on. It's what our Growth Alliance is trying to work on. It's what organizations like the Fort Dodge Young Professionals are trying to help make happen. Make communities like ours, a great place to live, work, and play. Yeah, I think that's Plotz's tagline, isn't it?
That's
yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad I got that one down.
That and poised for growth.
Poised for two things we are, and one of those things that that you got to be able to attract is the workforce. The housing that we've been able to add to Fort Dodge in the last year, things like that make a big difference in being able to attract people in. There's still plenty of companies that when they're recruiting people, folks are living in Ames and driving up to Fort Dodge to work. It's not something that needs to happen. Fort Dodge is a great community. When you really get involved in it, you really get to spend some time in it and know the people that are here. It's a great it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise a family.
I had another conversation like this with another guy named Peterson a long, long time ago.
You probably did. I might sound just a bit familiar. I don't know. Well, you got us both on Friday, then we can just confuse everybody because apparently we both sound exactly alike. So
that's okay. You both sound like your grandfather. Anyway.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that in there.
But that there's nothing wrong with that. Well, it's we never did really talk about what kind of businesses you have, but it's a good thing that we understand better the problems of business. A lot of people don't understand it, and especially smaller business, because there's a lot of competition now from much bigger businesses. I was talking a little earlier today about when I first came to Fort Dodge years ago, there was a lot of little trucking companies. There's not so many little trucking companies anymore.
Oh, sure.
They're, the bigger guy. The guys just got bigger and
Yep.
maybe more efficient. But I do mourn when I see little grocery stores go out of business, or little trucking companies, or little car dealerships, or small business of any kind. Some of it's nostalgia. I'm the same age as your folks, and that's the world that we grew up in.
Well, whenever I look at it, we can all look at as any business. We can all look at something like Amazon. That's kind of the
what a beast.
Well, that's the new beast. Nobody really talks about Walmart as the beast anymore. Now it's Amazon.
Yeah.
We've already moved on to the new beast. There's always a new beast.
Always something, I guess.
Yeah, but there's always an opportunity for a small business to find its niche, to find its base, and to help a community.
We're going to be broadcasting live Friday from the Iowa State Fair on behalf of Blue Ribbon Waters, and of course we'll be talking with Brian. Brian, thanks for stopping by.
Yep, thanks, Mike.
All right, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, KVFD Fort Dodge, Iowa. Thank you for listening.
From tuning an engine to replacing a fuse, you can learn it all under the hood. Heard every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Visiting areas affected by mass shootings, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. President Trump today traveling to Dayton, Ohio and El Paso, Texas, meeting with local officials, first responders, and victims of last weekend's deadly shootings. White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham describing the president's visit to a Dayton hospital.
This was a, how are you feeling? We're with you. We're sorry this happened to you. It wasn't about supportive or not supportive. I can tell you everybody received him very warmly. Everybody was very, very excited to see him. Everybody was taking pictures with him.
The president's now in El Paso at the University Medical Center, which treated many victims there. Texas Congresswoman Veronica Escobar taking part in an El Paso Strong rally ahead of the president's visit.
This community in this moment and going forward, we are going to do what we have always done. We are going to lead the way, and we're going to lead the way with love. We're going to lead with love.
22 people were killed, many more injured when a gunman opened fire at an El Paso Walmart last weekend. Former Vice President Joe Biden, a potential challenger to President Trump in next year's election, says the president emboldens anti-immigrant rhetoric seen as a motive in the El Paso attack.
This president has fanned the flames of white supremacy in this nation. His low energy, vacant-eyed mouthing of the words written for him, condemning white supremacists this week, I don't believe fooled anyone.
President Trump today saying his rhetoric brings people together. House Democrats today filing a lawsuit to enforce a subpoena against former White House attorney Don McGahn. The House Judiciary Committee wants to ask McGahn about incidents in the special counsel's report on Russian election meddling, indicating the president tried to impede that investigation. This is Fox News.
Driving is freedom. The freedom to keep moving, to control your destiny, and to choose your path. And now, that freedom fits in the palm of your hand. It's called Ford Pass, the only app that gives you roadside assistance, Ford Pass rewards, and now when you buy or lease a new Ford, earn points you can use toward flexible complimentary maintenance that gives you, well, more freedom. Ford Pass, built to keep you moving, built Ford proud. Visit your participating Ford dealership to find out about getting flexible complimentary maintenance when you buy or lease a new Ford and sign up for rewards.
Roadside assistance is included for certain Ford owners and available to everyone for a per-service fee. Ford reserves the right to change program details without obligations. Visit your participating dealer or FordPassRewards.com for program rules and restrictions. Ford Pass, compatible with select smartphone platforms, is available via a download.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
With your KVFD News Update, I'm Rob Jones. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge will celebrate National Health Center Week with a free community block party tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. The event will take place in front of their building located at 126 North 10th Street in downtown Fort Dodge. The celebration includes free child wellness checks, free sports physicals, a free meal, as well as activities and information for families. The event is part of a national campaign to increase awareness of the ways health centers are providing affordable health care in communities. The Community Health Center of Fort Dodge opened in 2006, and in 2016 it expanded to increase exam rooms, dental labs, and added behavioral health services. The Webster County pork producers will be on hand providing the food for the event. The child wellness exams will take place from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. tonight, and the block party is 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Here's the Community Health Center of Fort Dodge Outreach Coordinator Regina Subier talking about the event.
It is open to the public. You do not have to be a patient of the health center to come this afternoon, either to have a meal or to take advantage of any of the services that we're offering. It really is open to the entire community.
Senator Randy Feenstra was a guest on Devine's Intervention with Mike Devine. Feenstra spoke about his bid for the 4th District congressional seat currently held by Congressman Steve King. Here's Senator Feenstra's comments on the importance of the 4th District congressional seat.
This is what I've always told people. You think of the 4th District, we're number one in the world in agriculture. We absolutely need a voice for these issues, and whether it be the next farm bill or whatever it is, we need somebody that can be very active and support what's going on in the 4th District, and that's my whole goal.
2 years after his passing, the legacy of Josh Doyle lives on with the Prairie Rivers Trail Ride this Saturday. Doyle was just 29 years old when he passed away due to a sudden heart problem while at work on a construction site. To honor Josh's legacy, all proceeds from the ride will go toward helping provide automated external defibrillators to local businesses. Together, organizers want to celebrate not only Josh Doyle's memory, but the vibrant and growing trail system in Fort Dodge. Organizers say local businesses have backed the idea without hesitation, and the event currently has over 100 registrations. The bike ride will be rain or shine and will start at 10 a.m. Saturday morning at River Hops Brewery with stops along the trail, including Kennedy Memorial Park. The event does have a $25 registration.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studios, it's the Dave Ramsey Show, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. Tiffany starts us off this hour in Iowa. Hi, Tiffany. Welcome to the Dave Ramsey Show.
Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. What's up?
I don't know where to start on this. Me and my husband, I'm 35, he's 36, and he's at his peak of income at 58 a year.
Mm-hmm.
And we have 7 kids, and we're eating it all in groceries and mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
So 50% of our income is going to house and food. And God has blessed us to keep us afloat somehow, but our numbers don't match up, and so $400 a month carries to the next month.
Mm-hmm.
And so trying to figure out how to get out of this. I just found out about you a week and a half ago. So
okay. Well, there's obviously two sides to this equation, the income side and the outgo side. Why do you feel like he's peaked at 58? Why can't he make more?
He's the highest paid in his company, and so the only way he can do it is by quitting, but he's also a pastor, a full-time pastor. And so to take on his own company would be next to impossible.
Okay,
time-wise.
I'm sorry, he's a bivocational pastor, so he has a job in addition to the $58,000, or the $58,000 is his pastoral income?
No, he's a pastor and he's a painter.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he does both full-time.
Gotcha. And the pastoral position does not pay?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, a lot of pastors are bivocational. That's not unusual in America. As a matter of fact, almost 80% of them are. And so that's not an unusual thing. You do have 7 kids to feed, and that's a priority over him being a pastor.
Right.
Okay. And he's the highest paid in his company, but he's not the highest paid in Iowa. I mean, there's maybe doing painting, I don't know, but we have to explore the income side of this equation. It's part of the equation. There's two sides to it, income and outgo. These kids are not going to eat less. They're not. They're going to eat. You have 7 kids to feed. You have to feed them.
Right.
And so you're going to feed them. You're a good mom. He's a good dad. You're going to do that. I feel sure of that. Okay. And so I doubt that there is that you are majorly wasteful with your money in some way. I doubt it with that kind of an income and that number of kids. How much is your house payment?
$1,100.
Okay. That's pretty tight on a $58,000 income. You got a pretty high house payment, but you got 7 kids. Here we go again, right? So this is doable, but I'm going to encourage you to work on both sides. Now, the budget, doing a properly executed budget will help you. You will feel like you've gotten a raise, because what you're doing is you're kind of running from desperation to desperation, from crisis to crisis. And if you back up, if you pan out a little bit and you back up and develop a game plan for the money before the month begins, you and he together, and you stick to that game plan, then you'll get more efficiency out of the money and you'll feel like you've gotten a raise. So the budget works, a zero-based budget. Go on everydollar.com. It is free, and I'll give it to you. I'll give you Financial Peace University and put you through the whole class if y'all want to go through it. Okay, but Every Dollar is a free budgeting app, and all it does is tell you to do this. You figure out what your income is for the coming month, and you give every one of